Hello and welcome to the Paper Boys podcast. I'm JJ Smith.
And I'm Zack Nally.
We're reporters with the Carteret County News-Times. We are joined, as always, by our faithful producer, Ross Caraway. And this week we are joined by a West Carteret senior who, in addition to going to school like any other 17-year-old, 18-year-old, is also trying to become a major singer and race car driver. That's just it.
Yes.
How about that combo?
It's been absolutely insane, and I definitely did not see myself being here at 18 years old, but here we are, and so I'm just living life every single day and just going along with the flow of things.
Well, let's go back to the beginning. When's the first time you got into a race car?
First time I got into a race car was when I was 14 years old. Yeah, it was the day before my 15th birthday was my first ever race, and I definitely was not expecting to be in there that soon. I wish I had gotten into one younger than that, but I mean, I think 15 or 14 was definitely a good age because, you know, not to tear stuff up and you're a little bit smarter when it comes to your decisions. So it was definitely a good call on my parents to hold off for a little bit.
Yeah, it's a lot to trust a kid with. I mean, you're talking about there's a lot of money that goes into this sport, and you get into there and you say, okay, I'm gonna try. I mean, you've never driven anything else before other than maybe like a four-wheeler or a go-kart or something like that, and then you're off. Between then and now, do you feel like you've grown a lot as a racer?
Yeah, I grew up definitely being the wild child, the four-wheelers, the ATVs, all of it. That's really all my family liked to do. We had a good time doing it growing up, and I definitely getting into the go-karts when I first started out was a big help in boosting my career and stuff like that. I got a really good fan base. It taught me a lot about driving the car and like being responsible. And now we've moved up to bigger and faster cars. So now you really have to be smart with your decisions, and you make quick moves, but you also have to make smart moves because it's coming out of your own pocket sometimes.
How did you get into it? Do you have uncles or dad who was into it?
So both of my uncles were, I went out to the racetrack with them. They drove the mini stock and U cars. And then shortly around the time that I was getting into it, two of my other cousins were getting into it. So we had all gone out there and been watching for years. And
these are all girls, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
So my two uncles are the ones that really got us all into it, and then us three girls, I think we started maybe a few races outside of each other. I was the first one to start, and then my two other cousins started like 3 or 4 races after that. So we got into it really quick, and they're younger than me. I think they were 10 and 11 when they got into the cars. So it's been a little bit for all of us. But I mean, we have a blast doing it. I wouldn't want to do it with anybody else besides my family. So it kind of brought us closer, something to bond over. And that's really all our family talks about is racing. So
yeah, and those are your cousins, Summer Sullivan and Mila Provost, right?
Yes. And then we actually have now one of my other cousins, Riley Provost, which is Mila's younger sister. She's about to get into one as soon as they can get her car fixed. So yeah, now we'll have 4 of us in it, which is very scary, especially with the 2 sisters because they'll be running in the same class.
That's so unique. I mean, you don't see a ton of girls in racing, but to have 4 in the same family, obviously it's important to your family. It's a big part of. I mean, you have plenty to talk about over Thanksgiving dinner and stuff. I mean, you've all had experience behind the wheel.
Well, most of our family dinners end up becoming arguments because the girls really love to point out the fact that they have beat me one time. See, I am the type, I'm very competitive, so I don't care how young you are, I don't care how cute you are, I'm not going to let you beat me on the track. We'll be family outside of that, but besides that, if I'm on the track with you, I'm not letting you win. And there was one time I had a motor malfunction, and I couldn't even finish the race. There was like 3 laps to go, and they started dying laughing after the race, saying how they had beat me and all this and that. And I'm just like, well, technically you beat me because I wasn't able to finish, but if you want to take it, you can. So
see, they're down here. You got to give them something. They're down here. They need something to reach up for there.
Yeah, I mean, I love them to pieces, and I want to see them do great, but I would never let them beat me. Like, it just can't happen.
Of your generation, is that all girls or any of the boys in your family race?
So actually, it's all females that race.
Wow.
My younger cousin, he is big into travel ball. So mainly they do that with him. And then my brother, he became a star basketball player. So, I mean, really, it was just the females that were left. But I do think we have 2 of our younger ones that are going to grow up. We have one that is obsessed with NASCAR, like crazy obsessed with NASCAR. And he loves going out to the races. So I'm sure we'll have at least one boy, hopefully, coming up.
Eventually get him in there.
Yeah, we need one. We need one. The girls are really taking the win in the family right now. So
the boys need to be represented.
Yeah.
So you mentioned how your uncles had raced, and so you at least had that part in your family. But at what point, your dad Cliff at some point said, "I'm gonna go and get a car and put Carsyn in there and see what happens," I guess.
Yeah. So we had been practicing at I don't even know if I should say this. we were using the old Broad Creek Middle School track, and after school would get out, my little cousins, I want to say Mila was in 6th grade, maybe not even. She may have been in 5th grade, but I know my cousin Summer, she was in at least 6th or 7th grade whenever we started doing this. And we would go out to Broad Creek Middle School, and after school got out, it was probably like 5 or 6 o'clock in the afternoon, and we would take a cheap go-kart that we bought off of Marketplace, and we would just go full throttle around that track because it was yeah, I mean, well,
so you had that in you from the start there. That was a big
You had the need for speed.
No doubt.
I definitely had the need for speed, and I mean, I drive big lifted trucks. I just love all that stuff. Like, yeah, I'm definitely the oddball out of my family, out of my mom and my dad and my brother, because my parents didn't even like going out to the racetrack. I had begged them to go watch my uncle with me, and they absolutely hated it. And then I finally convinced my mom when COVID started.
I was gonna say, I remember your mom had to take a little convincing on the safety end to let you get out there and start doing this.
Yeah. So when our cheer gym closed down for COVID, I'll never forget this day. It was probably the best day of my life. We were riding bikes around my neighborhood, and it was just me and my mom. I knew I couldn't have my dad there whenever I asked her about this, but I had planned it all out in my head of how in the world I was going to convince her to let me do this. So I had sweet talked her all day. I had done everything that she had asked me to. She was in a great mood. And we went on our little bike ride, and I was talking to her. I was like, hey, racing seems like it'd be like a good thing because it's not shutting down. Like, it gives me something to do. I've wanted to do it for a long time, and I'm older now, so I think now's the time for you to let me get into it. And so she didn't really give me a full answer, and then I stalked her one day on Life 360 and ended up finding out they were going to pick me up a car before I even saw the car or knew that the car was coming. And they were so mad about that. That's a whole nother story I can't even get into.
Well, they want to be able to bring that surprise to you, and you're sitting at home like, oh my God, I can't wait till they get here.
Well, they made me meet them in Havelock. And I told my brother, I said, I already know what this is. Like, they're not even surprising me, but I was like,
did you act like,
Yeah,
oh my gosh.
I acted like I did it, but my parents definitely knew that I knew about it, because as soon as I got out the car, I was all grins, and I just couldn't help it. Like, I was so excited.
You're looking around, where is it?
Right. I think that actually might have come out my mouth, and I think I kind of screwed myself on that one, but it's okay, because live, love, laugh.
Well, you remember getting into that first car, and I think, what was it, Mini Cup?
Yeah, so the mini cups, I miss them things so much. If I could go back in one, it just at least one more time. Actually, I have a lot of the mini cup drivers that I'll help out now, because I did do really good in that division, and so most of them are now like, I want to race you. Like, I bet I can beat you, and I'm just like, I bet you $20 you won't beat me. So, but I just love messing around with them. So if I could definitely get back in one, I would. I would never.
Well, it's crazy. Those are not huge cars. I mean, they're pretty big, but now you're racing what you're racing now,
I was going to say, tell us what these are. What's a mini cup, and what else have you raced, and what's the speeds, what's the weights? To give us the differences.
So the mini cup is basically, honestly, a go-kart with a body on it.
Okay.
If you want me to be completely honest, that's really what it is. And there's the champ carts, and then there's the mini cups. And the mini cups, a lot of the champ carts are just older guys having a good time and stuff like that with racing. And then the mini cups are for the beginner kids that are starting out and trying to figure out ways around the track and learning the track and different things like that. It's a really good starting point for most people. And I was older whenever I got into it. So,
and those are good, like 45, 50, is that right?
So depending on the track, I think at Carteret we went up. They've changed it now. They've actually slowed them down since there's some younger kids getting into it. But before we were going like 55, 60 mile an hour. I think we were running like 21 seconds around Carteret. I mean, we were still rolling pretty good, and we didn't have suspension. And my car was probably the most unsafe car out there. I think like really if it was my, like, I wouldn't have sold that car to anybody if it was my choice. Just because, I mean, I had the small roll cage bars. There was just, I got very fortunate that I did not hit a wall on that car because I would have been beat up for sure.
You're brand new at the sport. You got to do what you got to do, right?
Well, I mean, we just saw a car. We were like, that's a good deal. I mean, it comes race ready. Like, let's go. Like, we were excited. So, but then the Legend cars, they actually have an FZ09 crotch rocket motor in them. And you can also run the 1200 Yamaha or the 1250 Yamaha. And these cars will go anywhere from like 80 mile an hour to like 115. Like, it is insane. So it was a big jump. Plus, the car that I had was an automatic. So I mean it's a go-kart. So you just get in there and you press the brake and you press the gas. But this car, like, I had to learn shifting. I had to learn everything. Everything was brand new in this car for me.
Wow.
But we picked it up pretty quick, and now I'm out there beating some butt at Carteret County Speedway. But it took me a long time to learn. So a lot of people think you just get in it and you go. No, I learned that one the hard way. Yeah. You don't just get in it and go.
Yeah, those are fun cars. Those are screamers. When I went out to the track a couple times, those are loud.
Yeah,
and they move.
Right.
And how nice though to have a track like the Speedway out there. I mean, you could be into racing, but if there's not a track near you, especially one that's available like that, well then it's just not something that you can do.
Yes, Carteret. I absolutely love Carteret. It's one of my favorite. It's a very hard track, and you definitely have to be a driver that either wants to take the time to learn it, or a driver that is just a very overall very vigilant driver, because there's a lot of quick moves that you can make. It is very flat, so most of the tracks out here are a little bit bigger and maybe have quite a bit more banking. But Carteret, it's small. There's not a lot of room on the track. So you have to be an aggressive driver out there, but you also have to be a smart driver out there. And I love the scenery of the track. I think that's probably one of my favorite things about going out there. The pictures always come out great. The videos come out great. And it's just a very welcoming track to go to. And that's why I love racing there. But, the track itself, it's one of the best tracks, but one of the hardest tracks I've ever raced at. So it takes time to learn, but if you're really dedicated to do it, you can.
Carteret County Speedway hosts Bluegrass at the Beach October 20th and 21st with performances from Rhonda Vincent and The Rage. Plus the Coastal Ramblers Band, Poe Ramblin' Boys, Lorraine Jordan at Carolina Road, and the Clyde Maddox and Garrett Newton Bluegrass Band. 1- and 2-day passes are available. Save money and get your advance tickets online now. Camp spots are also available. Bluegrass at the Beach, October 20th and 21st. More details on Facebook and advance tickets at CarteretSpeedway.com.
Do you remember your first race?
Yes, I do remember my first race. It was very chaotic, very scary. So unfortunately, with the way I ended up starting out, I had never been in the actual race car. We had like 3 or 4 weeks of just straight rain. And then we had that race that we ended up putting in the weekend after all the rain had finally stopped. So I think we got 1 practice, 1 qualifying, and then the race. So I had those 2 times on the track before the actual race started. And I was competing against, the 2 champions that had tied for the championship the year before. So I knew I had a lot on my back, and you want to go out there and do well your first race, and I ended up going out there and winning the whole entire race. So I was very shocked. I think the boys were more shocked than what I was, because they were like, who is this girl that has just
not
randomly
just a girl, but
showed
who is
up?
this? Yeah.
Right, who has just randomly showed up here and won this race. But they ended up becoming 2 of my really close friends. One of them, I haven't seen him at the racetrack in a very long time since Mini Cups, but
who is
Scotty,
Yeah.
His name was Caleb Braswell. I haven't seen him since mini cups, but Scotty Binford, we call him Scotty B. We actually, right after he moved up to Legends, about 6 months later, I moved up to Legends. So this past weekend, we had a pretty big race, and me and him, he was in first and I was in second. It was a very clean race. I love racing with him, so I told him this weekend he better be ready because I'm coming and I'm gonna beat him next time. So I've loved racing with him. I raced with him since the very beginning, so he's always been one of the close competitors to me.
And didn't just race that day, sung the national anthem before your first race, is that right?
Yes, I did sing the national anthem. That was my very first time singing at the racetrack. So overall, it was just a very stressful day.
You really put yourself out there.
Yeah,
that
I
day.
really did put myself out there that first race. But honestly, if I wouldn't have done it that first race, I wouldn't have had half the fans that I have now. And I love all of them. I see them every single weekend at the racetrack. Sometimes they'll come down to the meet and greets, and they'll bring their kids or their grandkids and stuff like that. So it's really cool to meet them and spend time with them, but it definitely did get me a lot of recognition.
Oh, I bet every fan left that day knowing who Carsyn Gray was for sure. It was probably one of the best days of my life, besides whenever I got my mini cup and got in a race car for the first time. So
Well, I love how the first race she sings before the race, then she goes and wins the race.
Right.
And then later on she develops this habit where she's singing while she's racing.
Okay.
Yeah. So that's a thing, right?
yes, so I can't even remember the name of that song, but if you like pina coladas, like I don't know why, it was just like there was one day that I think either my radios weren't working or my radio was dead, and there was no one on the track, and so I was like, I'm gonna put in my AirPods and I'm gonna go and just have a good time out there on the track. And so randomly that song comes on my playlist. I was probably out there for like 20 laps or so, and the song comes on my playlist and I'm just singing it in the car. And then I ended up telling my mom about it. My mom told everybody about it, thinking that it was the most hilarious thing in the whole entire world. So that just kind of became my thing, where I sing in the car. And, like, if I get nervous or if I'm in a situation I don't really know what to do, I'm just like, all right, hold on. If you like pina colada. Like, that's me. Like, that's just who I am. But
A little self-soothing there. Just a little... Get yourself centered.
It really just makes you feel more comfortable for like some reason. Like if you're trying to make a sketchy move and you're like, oh, I don't know, you just play that song in your head or start singing it. It's like everything just works out great. So that's what I've always done, and I haven't been doing it as much anymore. So I definitely need to start back up on it because I'm starting to notice a difference.
Have you always been into singing?
So I have been singing since before I can even remember, and the first time that I ever stepped foot on a stage was the most embarrassing moment of my life. It was the 5th grade talent show.
Oh, my goodness.
For Tiller School in Beaufort. And I thought I was, like, so great. And now that I watched that video, I'm just like, oh, I am definitely glad I have gotten some improvement since then. But, I mean, it was great. And it definitely boosted my confidence to get back on stage more. But you can definitely tell a difference growing up. With stage presence, or the singing itself has gotten a lot better. So, but when my mom pressured me to get up on that stage in 5th grade, it changed everything for me. So,
How long has it been a thing where you like, this is what I want to do for a career?
so I was when it comes to racing and singing, I've always been asked which one would I give up, and really, honestly, I wouldn't ever want to give up either one of them, but singing really became a huge thing for me whenever I became older, and I started learning more about real life and what goes on in real life, and I could have an amazing offer for racing right now, and that would be absolutely phenomenal, but it's never something that's guaranteed, and neither is singing. And so, but singing really became a big priority for me whenever I went to Mount Olive. And for a long time, I doubted myself with singing because, like, your family tells you, oh, you're a great singer. Friends and family tell you you're a great singer. But when I went to Mount Olive and there was people from Nashville there that were judging you and giving you feedback, and they told me, they were like, you have a great voice, they had only told me one thing wrong, and that was because I was sick, and I told them that I was sick before I went on. So, but that was really the only thing that they had said to me, and then they reached out to me a week later, and I was like, dang, like these people, these big people that have worked with big people actually see that I have something that I can be great at and that I can do, and that's when it really set in that this is something that I can see myself doing.
What was that, like a showcase you went to?
So it was actually just an audition just to go to Nashville and work with some people up there at like either this camp or this little event thing that they had for like a week. And so I didn't get invited to that. Instead, they asked me like, hey, do you want to work with PCG? And I was like, yes, of course. So we signed on with them. I've written songs with some of their co-writers. I've also... my producer, he works with them. So I've done a lot of things through them. And now that we're kind of figuring our way out slowly, we're kind of branching out and other people are branching out. Like 2 weeks ago, I was in Chattanooga, Tennessee, working with Dynamo Studios. And I recorded another song, which actually you guys are the first to hear. So I guess now everybody's going to hear it, but it's okay.
Love it. Scoop.
But so this was actually part 3 to my All Back Road song. So
I was going to say, to let the listeners know, this summer she went up to Tennessee and recorded your debut single, All Back Roads, which is available on Apple Music, Spotify, and YouTube.
Pretty much every streaming app that there is.
Yeah.
So
What was that
the
process?
music video is on YouTube.
What was that like going up there and actually putting something you wrote, you know?
It was scary. Just because you think that you have an amazing song written for yourself, but really when you get up there around these big people that have worked with such amazing artists and have seen the talent and the writing ability that there is, it's like, are you bringing something to the table that is worth producing? And so with this producer, I actually had the chance to write All Back Roads with him. So it was scary going up there, but having him there writing the song with me and then him being able to produce it was a huge, huge help for me personally. This third song that I have just written is completely written by myself, and it's called Making Friends in My Hometown. So I'm really, really scared, and Just 'Cause You Love Me, Kim McLean, I don't know if you guys know who that is. She's an amazing songwriter, amazing singer. She helped me write my part 2 to All Back Road, which is Just 'Cause You Love Me. So that's the song. That song comes out in like a week and a half, 2 weeks.
Oh, wow.
So yeah, everything is moving fairly quickly, but
Exciting.
yeah, it's exciting, but it's scary. But you just have to go day by day and kind of just fill things out. And if you have an amazing idea, write it down. That's what I tell everybody.
How long have you been doing that, writing down like lyrics and stuff?
So I was never really good at guitar or instruments or anything like that for the longest time. So typically I would listen to a song and I would use their beat that they had to it, like karaoke, and I would start like writing out some songs. I've never used those songs. They're from when I was like 12 years old.
Of course.
But this song, I mainly take a lot of my songs and write them out of personal experiences. I've never been one that can really write a song without a co-writer that I don't know something about, or that's something that has like hurt me in the past. And so with these 3 songs, this is all coming from like a true heartbreak that I went through. And I know I'm young, and
No,
that's why I like it though, like, because like I feel like there's a lot of people that now that don't really write about like the teenage love stories. And so I'm trying to be that person that says, hey, it's okay to feel this way, because I felt this way too at one point. And writing all that down has kind of helped me get over it in a way. So it all worked out in the end, and I absolutely love writing. So
Yeah, they say write what you know, and if you're a teenager living a teenage life, then why not write what you know?
right, and it's for me it's just kind of like a comfort thing too. So, and that's why I really like doing it. I had a great time.
So school, racing, singing, you're quite busy.
Yes, so I actually got out of school not this year, but the year before, at the very beginning of the year. I think I was in school for maybe like 3 or 4 days, and then I went homeschooled. So it was the start of my junior year. So now I've actually moved forward in the process a lot faster.
No doubt.
So technically I'm done with school, but I still have a little bit more to do. But I'm so ready to get it over with and done with and just start focusing on work because it is starting to stress me out.
Well, in the meantime, you are living your best life, aren't you? And we're excited to see what happens next and to see where your singing career goes and your racing career. And it's been a lot of fun to watch the last few years, and I'm sure it's just nothing but up here from here.
Yeah, I really hope so. I see a lot of opportunities up ahead. I've been asked to do a lot of great things. So I'm really excited to see what goes on, but I just live every day, day by day. You never know what's going to happen. You never know who's going to approach you. And just like you guys, I had no way of knowing 2 days ago that I was going to be here. But now I'm here. So I kind of just go day by day and just live life to the fullest.
And when you hit it big, you're going to come back and visit with us, right?
That's right.
Of course I will. I'll probably put you guys on my YouTube channel at some point.
Thank you so much.
No problem. Thank you guys for having me.